In this tutorial, you'll learn how to round corners, create captions, customize them, animate them, color grade, sync the clips to the beat drop, add your logo, create a final edit. So let's start this edit by going over the clip. I've gotten the clip from the emergency meeting episode 20 on Rumble from the official Tate account. I have a link with all the project files and the assets that I've used for free in the description, so you can check that out.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose.
So let's start by going over the cutting. Let's go ahead and make sure that it's very similar to Vozen's. The first thing that I'll do is I'll zoom in on the audio tracks. As you can see, ours is delayed. Go ahead and cut some of these pose, just like so.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your...
Here we want to cut once again. And as you can hear, this is what we have.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose.
Now let's go ahead and drag in the music. As you can see, the drop of the music is going to be exactly here. So what I'll do is I will simply shrink it from the start and just make sure to exactly match the beat drop, which is going to be here, a marker by clicking M. I'll make sure to snap it to the end. Now I'll drag the rest of the music to the start. I'll lower the volume by, let's say, another 5 decibels. And let's go ahead and play this.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose.
That's almost perfect. However, I want the audio at the end right here to become higher in volume. So to do that, make sure to shrink this track and I'll make this bigger. And then I'll get the pen tool. I'll go right here exactly before the drop happens and I'll raise this volume to, let's say, 5 decibels. Let's hear this now.
Can't lose.
I think it's perfect now. So now we have our music and A-roll set up. Now it's time to go over and make this rounded and with B-roll. So the first thing that I'll do is I'll enable Vozen's layer and I'll check where to add B-roll. So if you check right here, as you can see, it's every time there is a cut, Vozen adds B-roll. So what I'll do is I'll deselect all of my layers and I'll click M every time Vozen adds a cut. And then there is another one here, so I'll add M for the marker. As you can see, the B-roll disappears. And then here there is another one, so I'll add one. And from here, as you can see, the edit starts, the final edit. Now, the last thing that we should do before deleting the video from Vozen is create this rounded effect and try and go ahead and somewhat copy his style. So to do that, what you do is you go on New and you click on Adjustment Layer. You click OK, and then you drag it here on top. And you drag it all the way until the end of your video, which is going to be around here, let's say. Then you go into Effects. The first one is going to be the Crop effect, and you drag it on top. And then the Roughen Edges effect, and you drag this one on top. So firstly, let's go ahead and disable the Vozen track, and now we'll go ahead and crop all of the sides of the video. So actually, let's enable this one, and let's go ahead and crop until, as you can see, there is a visible crop on the side of Vozen. So let's go forward until that happens, which is around 7. So leave this left crop on 7, and then I'll copy this and I'll paste it on the right side as well, because it's going to be symmetrical, of course. And then for the top, we're going to shrink it until around here. Make sure to use Ctrl so that, as you can see, the line is going to move slower, whereas if you don't use it, it's just going to go way faster. So let's go ahead and try, and as you can see, it's going to be around here, which is 28. So let's try with 27, and I think it's looking good. So I'll do 27 also on the bottom, and actually 27, it's a bit too much on the bottom, so go ahead and try with 26. It's a bit too much again, so let's try with 25, and to be symmetrical, I'll do 25 on the top one as well. Now if we go ahead and delete this, as you can see, we now have our square. It's not done yet. We need to round the corners now. To round the corners, we want to modify these roughen edges here. So we'll increase the edge sharpness to the max and reduce the fractal influence to the minimum, so that our borders are now straight. And then we'll round the corners with this border feature. We can round them as much as we want. I'll go ahead and try this to 150. I think I can do it even more. Let's try 250, and I think it looks really similar to Vozen's. Vozen has actually shrinked it even more, but I'll stick with 250 because I like this. And now as you can see, there is this kind of soft light around the edges. You can either keep this or move this to cut, so that as you can see, there is zero light on the edges. There is zero softness. I personally prefer it on roughen, but you can play with blend modes as much as you want. I highly suggest either cut or roughen. And now we're done with the Vozen video. We can just delete it. We don't need it anymore. Now let's go ahead and center the arrow, then we'll create the edit. So let's start by zooming in and centering the arrow, as you can see. And now I'll go ahead and center this arrow as well by copying these motion properties right here and then just centering it a bit better.
You can't lose.
The rest of this, we do not need to center this because we're going to have B-roll all the way. Now, I've already gone ahead and chosen some clips that I can use when Tate says certain stuff. And I'll start from here where he says, everybody always says. And I'll use this clip because I really like it. Double left click, and as you can see, it's going to drag this source panel right here. So I'll choose a point around here. I'll click I on my keyboard. And then I'll go forward and click O to have an out point, so that now I can just drag the video. I'll make it longer.
Everybody always says, if you tried your best.
And now here we have another marker, so we need to change clip. Here it says, if you tried your best. For this part where it says, if you tried your best, I'll go ahead and choose this clip from Oppenheimer. So I'll click I for the in point and drag this whole thing, just like so. And then I'll make sure to drag it to the end right here and just drag it like so. So that as you can see, this is what we have.
If you tried your best, that's all that matters.
Now here he says that's all that matters. As you can see, there is a changing clip, but this time what we're going to do is simply use some black screen and some text. What I'll do here is I will go ahead and by holding Alt, I will cut this and then I will delete this so that I can use the black screen and put some text in this. And then here he says, but there's a secret. I'll use this clip right here.
But there is a secret to the universe.
For the universe, I'll use this one. And when he says
That most don't know.
I'll use this one.
That most don't know.
Here where he says,
if you actually try your best.
I'll add this footage from Kobe. And then I'll add this clip from Kobe when he says,
try your best.
And at the end he says,
you can't lose.
So now let's go ahead and center our clips. I'll zoom into Oppenheimer, and actually I'll put some clips to the right side because I'll add text on the left side or vice versa. I'll put this one to the right as well. I'll center the universe. I'll center this clip as well. I'll put Kobe here so that I can put text here. And so this is what we currently have.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose.
So now, as you can see, we have completed the arrow. So now it's time to create the text, and then we'll create the edit at the end. Let's now go ahead and create the text. So to create the text, what we're going to do is first auto caption the whole thing. So to do that, we're going to go on Window and make sure you have selected text. And then you go on the text panel and you click on create captions from transcript. And then you go right here on the transcription preferences and you click on audio 1 or wherever your audio is. And then you go on the captioning preferences, and I'm going to lower this to around 20, make this 1.2, make this single, and I'll click transcribe. Firstly, I'll remove all of the commas and the periods, just like so, and then I'll make sure to add one text layer per clip. So what I'll do is I'll cut this just like so, and then I'll go on the universe, copy this, and copy it at the end of this. And then copy this whole thing and then paste it right here. And now I'll delete these text layers and do it like this. So that as you can see, I have a single text layer per clip, and when it changes, the text changes as well. And now I've just done this, so what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and highlight all of the captions and customize them a bit. So firstly, I'll center them, and then I'll change the font to Cinzel, which is what's used by Vozen. I'll add a small drop shadow by increasing the softness, reducing the distance. I'll zoom in to check the shadow, just make sure that there is a bit of shadow, but also that is really spread far, just like so, a really subtle shadow, perfect. And make sure that and then what I'll do is I'll highlight all of the captions and make sure that they're all capital. And now it's time to convert these captions to graphic. Here's where we're going to do some magic. So firstly, this clip needs to actually be more on the right so that we can add the text on the left side. So I'll do it like this. And then what I'll do is I'll hit enter every time I want to add a space, just like so. Now I'll left align this And then I'll make everything bigger. So let's try with 80. Let's try with 100 actually. I think this is good. However, I want this to be way smaller, to something like 50, just like so, as you can see. And then maybe I'll increase this even a bit more to 120, and I'll move it a bit more to the left and increase this to around 60. And I really like how this is looking now. What I usually do is I place all of the text and then I animate it later. So let's go right here. We have everybody always says. I'll make sure to put says on another line at this punctuation. Then I'll make everything around 60 and actually want says to be at least double the size. I'll move everything upwards and then I want to move says lower. So I'll just highlight it and move this feature lower, just like so. I'll add it below their heads, so that this is how it looks like. Here what I'll do actually is create some more layers because I want to divide the speech like so. I'll do if you tried. This one I'll make your, and here I'll make it best. However, I'll make sure that best is bigger, something like 100, and I'll make the rest to around 60 so that you can see it becoming bigger when it says best. And for that reason, I'll center Oppenheimer's clip and move it a bit higher so that we can read the text perfectly, as you can see. For this instead, I'll go ahead and make sure that everything is spaced just like so. I'll make that's a bit bigger so that everything looks like it's the same size. Just like so, that's all that matters. And then I want everything to be a bit bigger here, so I'll scale the clip up. Perfect. And now I'll move forward. Here I'll make it so that secret on another line, and I'll make this bigger to around 120 and everything here to around 60. And I'll actually shrink this by making it theirs. I'll move secret a bit upwards so that it's closer to the actual text, and I'll put the man smiling actually exactly in the middle of the clip. Then it's time for the universe. For the universe, I'll do what I've done before with the best. So I'll split this into two text layers. I'll do to the, and then I'll make this universe, and I'll make universe bigger. Let's make this to 100 actually. I think 120 is too big. And then I'll make this to around 60 so that we can see universe becoming way bigger. Here I want to place that most don't on the top and no on the bottom. Firstly, increase the size of everything, and then I'll increase the size of this one so that it's as big as the layer above it. So something like 125. And then highlight this and bring this upwards and bring no downwards. So somewhere around here. And as you can see, this is what we have with the man in the middle. I'll move him actually a bit higher so that it's centered. Here for the if you actually, I'll do the same thing I've done with the universe. So I'll add a cut. I'll do if you, and then on the next text layer I'll make actually. I'll make this bigger to around 100 and this one to around 60. Here for try your best, I'll put best on another line. I'll make try to around 100, this one to around 70, and actually I want to make best 100 as well so that I create this kind of effect. I want to move this a bit higher though so that it's closer. And then it's going to end with you can't lose. And for the can't lose, I'll do the same that I've done before with the universe and actually. So I'll divide this into two text layers. I'll make you can't, and then afterwards I'll put lose with a period actually, and I'll make this bigger to around 120. Actually I can make it even a bit more, and this one is going to be to around 65. Go ahead and play this.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose.
This is already starting to take place. Now it's time to animate the text. So I'm going to go right here on the text and click on source text. So this is how these specific keyframes work. As you can see, if I do some modifications to the text, it's going to create a keyframe. And this allows me to create this sort of typewriter effects, as you can see. The only problem with this is that the text jumps a bit, and we do not want that. So I'll delete these keyframes and I'll put this to around the end. So what I'll do now is I will add a space at the end of this text layer. A space right here is I will delete everything except the space. This is going to, as you can see, leave the space for the line when it's going to appear later on, because there is this space right here. And I'll do this earlier as well. So I go right here, I add a space, and then I delete everything except the space. I'll go backwards, space, and then delete everything except the space. So then now, as you can see, this is what we have.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe.
Now it's not on sync, so let's go ahead and actually sync it. So as you can see, it's now synced.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe.
And now we're going to do this for this as well. So we're going to go at the start, we go on the source text with a keyframe, we go right here, and then we're going to go at the end right here, click space, and then highlight everything before and delete this. I'll drag this here, and then I'll delete this thing right here.
Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all.
Now this is already animated, so now it's time to animate That's All That Matters. So once again, I'll go on the source text, I'll drag this right here, add a space, and delete all of the rest of this. I'll add the keyframe here, then I'll add another space, delete everything except the space. I'll drag everything closer.
That's all that matters. But there is a secret to the...
Now let's animate But There's a Secret. So let's go on keyframe, move forward, space, and then delete this. And then let's move it here. And then let's remove the A. Let's move it here. And let's remove this. And now let's drag everything closer actually. And as you can see, this is now animated.
But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know.
Now it's time to animate that most don't know. This one is a bit of a tricky one. So let's go ahead and add a keyframe and let's move it here first. Now the reason this is a bit of a tricky one is because I can't reach some stuff like the T. If I go ahead and try and click on the T, it's going to create a new text layer. So what you need to do here is you add a keyframe as usual, you drag it here, and then you add the space, remove the no as usual, and now go right here on the don't. It looks like I can't go on the right side of this T, but in reality I actually am. These text layers become a bit glitchy once you use this kind of feature, but don't worry, just add a space as we did before, and then you delete everything as you have done before, also the T, and as you can see we have our keyframe. And to reach the most now, what you're going to do is you're going to move with the top arrow key on your keyboard. As you can see, it's going to move there, and then you just go at the end and delete everything here. And now you have your keyframe. So let's drag them closer and let's go ahead and give this a look.
Universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't.
So now we just need to animate Try Your Best. And once again, this is now simple. Source text, go right here, add a space, remove best, go here, and then remove your. And now let's go ahead and move everything a bit closer.
Try your best. You can't lose.
And now let's go ahead and move this you can't to when the actual speech starts, which is here.
You can't lose.
So if we now play from the start, here's how it looks like.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose.
Perfect. Now it's time for the edit. So for the edit, I've taken some annotated clips from YouTube. I'll just drag this one in first. And you want to make sure that they end exactly here because that's where the beat drops. So I'll just make sure to end it. I'll put this one in and I'll make sure to end it here exactly. I'll go ahead and use some fighting clips. As you can see in this specific spot is eating in the face. So I'll go ahead and use this. Same here. I'll add this part from the famous clip, What Color is Our Bugatti?
Well, what color's your Bugatti? Oh, off that.
So here's what we have until now.
You can't lose.
You can of course make your edit longer. I'll stop it here after 7 clips and I'll cut this. And now it's time to center these clips, add color correction and the logo. So now let's go ahead and center the clips. So I'll click on the first one and simply center everything. So this is how it looks like after I've centered all of the clips. Which is perfect. So now I'll just simply shrink the adjustment layer and then I'll add the color correction. So for the color correction, I always go with some simple effects that I drag onto an adjustment layer. The first one is an unsharp mask. The second one is sharpness added via lumetri color and some saturation. So let's go over and start by increasing the unsharp mask. As you can see, I'll usually go with something like 40 and 20, which as you can see makes the clips feel more alive and with more contrast. And then I go onto the basic correction and I usually increase the saturation a bit, reduce the exposure a bit. And then I go on the creative section and I increase the sharpness to around 20 and I see how that looks. I'll also try and increase it a bit. Let's go with 40. And as you can see, with already a simple color correction like this, videos go from this to this, which feel way more alive. In my opinion, they look way better. Of course, you can play with all the settings you want, but that's just the usual color correction I go with. And now to end this, you can just copy and paste one of your text layers. You can reduce its size to around 60 and then type your name on it to create a sort of a logo, and then you can space it as much as you want. You can reduce the opacity to around 30, and as you can see, you're going to have that kind of watermark that you can find in edits. You just make sure to drag it until the end, and this is how that looks like.
Let me tell you a secret about the universe. Everybody always says, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. But there is a secret to the universe that most don't know. If you actually try your best, you can't lose.
So this was it for the tutorial. Make sure to grab the assets in the description and comment down below which tutorials would you like to see in the future.